I'm Berks County Commissioner Christian Leinbach, and I want to welcome you to our Berks County Commissioners meeting for Thursday, June the 17th. We are broadcasting live via Microsoft Teams live event and also through BCTV, Facebook, and YouTube Live. At this time, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Barnhart's executive assistant, Jesse Blauser, to read the comments.
Public comment will be accepted through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality. Any comments without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by the limitations of the platform being used, Microsoft Teams, Facebook, or YouTube. The meeting comment period is limited to 30 minutes in total. Please be concise. Comments will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue with the commissioner. Any commissioner response to public comment will be done at the discretion of the commissioners.
As we do each week, let's begin with a moment of silence followed by a pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I want to turn to Brian Gottschall, the director of our Berks County Department of Emergency Services, and our lead on the Berks County COVID-19 leadership team for the Berks County COVID-19 data report. Brian.
Good morning, Commissioner. Thank you very much. Yes, June 17th for our weekly data report. The slide that we've all become most familiar with are cases and testing, in orange showing the number of cases, in orange showing the number of tests on any given day, and blue the number of cases, smoothed over a 7 and 14-day period to take out statistical anomalies. The great news is, as we've seen over week, we see our case count coming down dramatically. One thing I do want to point out on this slide this week, we've been concerned that maybe our case count was coming down because people weren't going and getting tested. They were losing interest in doing the right thing. But I think some really good news that we see here on the right-hand side of the slide is that even though our testing numbers have leveled off and even gone up a little bit over the past week and a half or so, we still see those case numbers diminishing. So obviously, the more testing we're doing, the more of a cross-section of the population we're seeing, but we're still seeing those case counts come down. So that's even better news than just the case and test numbers coming down together. Great news from our hospitals, about 50% of where we were just a week ago with respect to the number of people in the hospital, either with COVID or with suspected COVID. And we again, of course, hope to see these numbers continue to go down. Last week, I had not shown this graphic. Instead, I just spoke a little bit about the fact that we were approaching the first 7-day period since March of last year with no COVID-attributed deaths. As that all panned out, we had an 11-day stretch. Unfortunately, that stretch did end with a couple of reported deaths 2 days in a row for a total of 4. But the numbers remain very low. The curve remains very flat. And of course, we know it's not going to go to zero and stay there for an extended period of time, but the more of those days we see, the better, of course. With respect to vaccinations, we remain number 9 in the Commonwealth, and I don't expect that we're going to see that number change just because population of the county as a whole is such a significant driver in that. What we're very much more interested in looking at is the per capita numbers. You know, when population is controlled for, how are we doing? And while we remain 33rd per capita, we have advanced up to 26th with at least 1 dose as of last Friday, which is the most recent state data available for that number. So small gains as far as where we are as a county for people who have at least 1 dose on board. Taking a look at our thermometers, this is again based on CDC data, and this is current as of yesterday afternoon. Pennsylvania is at about 58%, looking for that 70% of the population over 18 goal. Berks County is at about 51%, looking for that same goal to do our part. And when we drill into that a little bit and throw some state data into the mix to try to understand it a little bit better, what we see is that we are at about 58.7% of the Berks County population with at least one dose on board. So another way of saying that, if we didn't do any more first doses, and we just had the people that have started the process, we would end up at about 59% of the population. So what we really need is about 37,000 new residents over the age of 18 to step up and say that they're interested in being vaccinated against COVID-19 to help us make that 70% goal that has been set forth by state and federal authorities. And of course, the opportunity to do that is by going to our doyourpartberks.com webpage, where you can find information with respect to local providers offering COVID vaccine. Although we, of course, can't get into that level of detail on the Do Your Part Berks page, vaccine is becoming commonly available at your primary healthcare provider. So if you're not comfortable going to a clinic or someplace where you don't normally go, you certainly can reach out to your doctor and inquire with them whether they're offering COVID vaccine at their offices now, because many are. And lastly, of course, if you don't have access to a computer or don't prefer to do things that way, our 888 number is on the screen, and you can reach out to the Coe County Wellness Managed Call Center, where you can speak to somebody live who will help you make the necessary appointments or do whatever you need to do to help you get COVID vaccine. And as always, we are accepting walk-ins at the Muhlenberg Clinic next to Walmart, at the clinic that is managed by BCHC and the county. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Barnhart to give an update on that clinic and the other COVID matters.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Commissioner Leinbach, and everyone else that has joined us today. I'd like at this point to put up the screen showing the Berks Cares Vaccine Center hours for the balance of the month of June. And as everyone should be made aware, this week and next week, we're doing a real media blitz to recognize that the center will be closing July 31st. We want to make sure that everybody who wants to start a vaccine gets started this week or next week with a Pfizer or Moderna, since they're 21 and 28 days spread for the second vaccine. And also Johnson & Johnson is available. So pay attention to the advertising. Get your appointment through Coe County Wellness. We do also encourage an appointment, but you certainly can drop in if you'd like to. Still providing free bus service on routes 1 and 3 and paratransit services to and from the vaccine center. So let's get that 37,000 number down to 0 before the end of July here in Berks County. Let's flood the vaccine center with first time as well as second dose people. We want to make sure that we're closing this to a phased process where no one is going to be receiving the first vaccine and have to scurry around somewhere else in the community to find that second vaccine. That's why we're emphasizing this week and next week are the prime weeks at the Berks Cares Vaccine Center to receive your first shot of either Pfizer or Moderna or your one-stop shop Johnson & Johnson. Under the Coe County Wellness banner, I think this is a historical low. We've had 88 new contacts last week. 70.3% of those folks have been contacted and reached. Our total to date since we probably hit our anniversary date, starting with Coe County Wellness, 15,738 contacts since June of last year. And again, another record low. Thank you, Berks County. Only 5 line lists have been presented from June 9th to June 16th. So definitely things are trending in a positive direction, but please keep it up. Get your vaccine appointments, get out there and get your vaccines, because everyone's itching to get back to better than normal in the coming weeks. So thank you, and I'll turn this back over to Commissioner Leinbach. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Barnhart. I want to note the phone number, and I think of this every week. Obviously, if people are watching this on any of the computer platforms, they have access to the computer. Some watching on BCTV may not. But if you know somebody that doesn't use a computer, is trying to get a vaccine, and doesn't know how to get it, give them the phone number for our clinic, and we will help them get access to the vaccine. With that, we will continue with the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections for the June 10th Commissioner meeting minutes and June 15th Operation meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We did have an executive session yesterday, the 16th, and it dealt with personnel, real estate, and contract negotiations. Jesse Blauser, are there any public comments on specific agenda items?
No.
Thank you very much. We'll go into the agenda. Item 1, authorizing under that budget department, adopt a resolution authorizing 2021 budget transfers in the amount of $20,000 per listing dated June the 14th. We have several items listed under human resources. Item 1, authorize the utilization of a temp agency for 2 data entry clerk positions in the Treasurer's Office. Item 2, authorize the hourly part-time rate adjustment to $12 an hour as outlined on the attached listing. Item 3, authorize the hourly part-time rate adjustment to $14.25 an hour as outlined on the attached listing. Under Commissioners, we have several items. Item A, adopt a resolution authorizing Brandy Nider, Berks County Children and Youth Administrator, to execute the Greater Reading Mental Health Alliance linkage agreement to mutually receive referrals for children and families who may meet the respective admission criteria. Item B, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute the letter of engagement with Mayor Dussel to perform an audit of the financial statements of the Berks County 911 program as requested by the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency for years ending December 31st of 19 and 20. Item C, adopt a resolution of the Board of Commissioners declaring an emergency to have existed with respect to the fiber optic cable feed at the Berks County Jail, and hereby ratifies, confirms, and approves acceptance of the proposal from Connect Tech, Hamburg, Pennsylvania, to test, repair, and replace fiber cable at the Berks County Jail in the not to exceed amount of $1,653.20. Item D, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute the application for life, accident, and limited benefit group health insurance to the Lincoln National Life Insurance Company effective September 1st of 2021. And item E, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute the automobile theft motor vehicle insurance fraud intergovernmental agreement between the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania State Police, and Berks County for participation by the Berks County in the Municipal Automobile Theft Motor Vehicle Insurance Fraud Task Force program for a 1-year term effective July 1 of 2021 through June 30th of 2022 as authorized by a Berks County ordinance, and further authorizes the reimbursement of certain county expenses by the Pennsylvania State Police from the Automobile Theft Prevention Trust Fund. Item 2, a motion authorizing execution of contract agreements, amendments as set forth on the attached listing dated June the 15th. There are a total of 12 contracts. There are 4 with the Area Agency on Aging, 2 with Children and Youth Services, 2 with the Department of Emergency Services, 1 with Elections, 2 with the library, and 1 with the Sheriff's Department. Item 3, a motion to ratify and confirm payments as set forth on the Controller's Office voucher listing dated June the 15th of 2021, and the payment of electronic transfers and employee payroll. Before I accept a motion, I'd like to bring up one additional item. Yesterday, Pam Schupp-Menet and I, along with my executive assistant, Mary Buer, met with Scott Hunsinger from the Reading Phillies. We got an update on their stadium situation. Very quickly, I'll bring you up to speed that for the last several years, pre-pandemic, Major League Baseball has been working on new rules for minor league teams and stadiums. As a result of the new rules going into place, 43 minor league clubs have already lost their affiliation. And one of those teams we're very familiar with is the Trenton Thunder. So they are no longer affiliated with a major league team and unsure of what they are going to do with their stadium. My understanding from Scott is that actually the Blue Jays, because of COVID in Canada, the Blue Jays are playing there. I know Pam has spoken to my colleagues, or I shared the information with my colleagues, but I would like to see the county support the RACP or RCAP, depending on how you want to read the acronym, RACP program, to the governor of Pennsylvania on behalf of the Reading Phillies. Secondly, that we make this our priority project. Now, there are other projects that we've supported. We're not saying anything negative about those projects. They're good projects, but we believe as far as long-term impact, the loss of the Reading Phillies would be quite significant and problematic for the local economy. And then thirdly, we're requesting that the Berks County legislative delegation consider taking the same action with the governor in requesting the RCAP for the Reading Phillies and preferably making it their priority as well. I don't know, Commissioner Barnhart, if you would like to weigh in, or Pam Schupp-Menet, if you'd like to weigh in.
I think you are articulated really well. So the ask, I believe, is $7.5 million, which has to be matched with local funds to accumulate the $15 million is necessary to rehabilitate the stadium to meet the major league standards.
Correct. And I should point out the Reading Phillies, and I was not aware of this, have been running on waivers for years with Major League Baseball. The size of their club rooms for both the home team and the visiting team, a number of different aspects, because it's a very old stadium. It was built in 1950, and they have a solution, not building a new stadium, but building what they need adjacent to the stadium is a much more cost-effective solution, about a $15 million solution, versus a new stadium. You're probably talking somewhere in the vicinity of $60 to $100 million, which I think locally would break the bank and not be feasible. So they're not trying to do something that is unreasonable. They're trying to do what they need to do in order to keep their affiliation. So
I do know there are detractors out there in the community, and one would argue that Bryce Harper makes $330 million playing right field for the Phillies. Why the major league shouldn't make these investments in these stadiums. But to the other side of this is a quality of life for the community of Berks County. They do tremendous work as well with the Baseball Town charities. And this is a big economic development boost for our community. So I think over a period of time, $15 million looks like a lot of money up front, but I think over time, if we can keep the Reading Fightins here and keep this quality of life, the Baseball Town charities, and the economic development that goes with it, I think it's a worthy investment by the state to make to preserve this critical part of Reading and Berks County.
Right. I did ask the question. Craig Stein is the owner of the Reading Phillies. What he is willing to put up, and he is putting up $2.5 million towards the match. We need to be aware the Reading Phillies were shut down all of last year. They are one of those groups similar to Santander and a number of other venues like that. They had no income last year. So it's been a rough year last year. They're off to a rough start this year, late opening and a lot of limitations, but I support this as well. Would you like to make this a motion, Commissioner Barnhart?
I will do so. I'll make this a motion to support the RCAP application, endorsing the First Energy Stadium's application to the governor, and make this the #1 priority project for RCAP applications in Berks County, and request our local legislative delegation to do likewise.
I will second that motion. And what I am suggesting we do, by passing this, we will add it to the agenda and then approve the full agenda. Is that okay with you, Commissioner?
It is.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion to add this to the overall agenda for approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried.
So I will move the agenda approval with the addition that we just supported.
I will second that motion. I should mention Commissioner Rivera is not here today because he is at an Academy in Excellence and Leadership program with the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania. I believe Commissioner Barnhart was the first commissioner to go through that program. I've gone through it. Our county solicitor, Christine Sadler has gone through it, and all of us graduated too. And our CAO has gone through the program. So Commissioner Rivera is up there in Harrisburg this week. That's why he's not with us today. So if there's no other discussion, all those in favor of approval of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. With that, we'll now move to our county treasurer, A. Dennis Adams. And Dennis, go ahead with the treasurer's report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have an opening balance today of $241,772,409.25. A balance to clear of $8,359,631.18. Excuse me. And a balance of $233,412,778.07 for the day.
Thank you very much. We'll move now to our county controller, Sandy Graffius, with the controller's report. Sandy.
All righty. Total accounts payable, $7,794,552.77. We had a little bit of a payroll of $10,117.78 for a grand total of $7,804,670.55.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Ron Seaman, our Chief Administrative Officer, for your report.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's nothing to bring forward at this time.
Very good. Commissioner Kevin Barnhart.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. Again, welcome everyone for joining us today. Just one item of public note, we had our South Central Transit Authority meeting last evening, and happy to announce that we now have a new executive director as of July 1st, which will be Greg Downing. He will be replacing David Kilmer, who has now been moved to executive manager until the first week of January. Dave has served in capacities throughout BARDA and Red Rose for 42 years. 2006, he was named executive director of Red Rose, and in 2015, he was named executive director of South Central Transit Authority, which is the umbrella organization operating both BARDA and Red Rose. So I wish Dave the best of luck in his future endeavors and welcome Greg Downing. He's going to be a great replacement. he's had the benefit of working with Dave, literally the last year and a half, shadowing Dave, learning more about our system here at BARDA, because Greg was operations director in the Red Rose organizations for a number of years and had to learn the BARDA system. So he worked through the pandemic, worked with labor contracts, handled grievances, rode with the drivers. He's raring to go in his new capacity, which will be effective July 1 of this year. So we wish Dave and Greg the best of luck going forward. Thank you. That's all I have.
Muted. Thank you very much, Commissioner Barnhart. I appreciate your comments. I have several things I want to touch on. First of all, I want to make our viewers aware that I am going to be advocating to my colleagues for a change in how we handle comments in the future. The change has not been made. I just recently sent a policy from another county, and that county limits all comments either to specific agenda items or to issues that directly involve the county, in that the county may need to vote to approve or oppose a particular type of policy going forward. I absolutely understand that there are a wide variety of issues that people want to get out to the public. I am not being critical of your particular national issue or maybe state issue, but I really want to focus our attention on issues that we need to address here at the county level. And I appreciate many of the people that do make comments are related to the county. But I'm going to be asking our legal team to look at this policy, and I'm also going to be asking my colleagues to look at this policy and see if it's something we can implement so that we can focus the attention where I believe it should be, and that is on county government and the role and responsibilities of county government. So I want to be very transparent and open that if you see a change come, I'm the person that is pushing that. I'm not saying anything negative of my colleagues. No one has given me any pushback, but I know that this has been an issue from time to time, and I want you to know I'm concerned about it as well. Secondly, I want to take a moment and read a press release that just came out yesterday. We received an email either Tuesday or Wednesday that relates to this. This is from the EPA. It's titled, "EPA Work Continues at the former Exide Technology Facility in Laureldale, PA." It's not long. I'm going to read it because we've been working to keep you updated on a variety of EPA or DEP related issues. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is continuing cleanup work at the former Exide facility in Laureldale, PA, despite the recent bankruptcy of the property's corporate owner. In May of 2020, Exide Technologies LLC filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. As a result of the bankruptcy settlement in October 2020, Exide dissolved, and the court established an environmental response trust to address the environmental liabilities at the Laureldale site. Contamination at the facility consists of elevated levels of lead and specific heavy metals in soils, sediment, and groundwater. EPA and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection are working with the trustee to allocate the limited amount of money in the trust to maintain the facility and to ensure that human health and the environment are protected. EPA is conducting a Superfund removal action at the facility and site evaluation to determine if hazardous substances pose threats which warrant prompt actions to protect human health and the environment. 5 bag houses and associated ductwork containing high concentrations of hazardous substances are prioritized for removal response actions. The removal work is currently in the startup phase, which includes mobilizing personnel and equipment, working on health and safety and field sampling, air monitoring plans, and considering options for decontamination and demolition operations. The work to remove the 5 bag houses is expected to begin in mid to late June. While that work is ongoing, EPA will continue to evaluate threats and determine whether additional response actions are required to mitigate imminent and substantial endangerment to the community. EPA works to help facilities in need of cleanup to locate opportunities for safe and sustainable reuse. A Wisconsin developer, an affiliate of Phoenix Investors, has expressed interest in purchasing the former Exide Laureldale property and redeveloping a portion of it into a warehouse distribution center and potentially some light manufacturing. If Phoenix were to purchase the property, the cleanup and redevelopment of the site will proceed under the PA DEP Land Recycling Program, also known as the Act 2 program. Phoenix will determine the feasibility of acquiring the property after the completion of the EPA's evaluation of the property. A public virtual meeting will occur by the end of the summer to present the activities and status of the former Exide facility. And then for more information and cleanup activities, you can go to a certain site. I am going to quickly go in here and publish this and then ask if IS would also please publish this information to our Facebook and YouTube pages. But I want folks to be able to have access to that information. The last thing that I want to touch on is just give a quick update. I've shared this before that the county American Rescue Plan, that we've divided the opportunities on funding into 3 categories. Commissioner Barnhart is handling human services, nonprofits, education. Commissioner Rivera is handling housing, economic development, and the like. And then I am handling what is called special projects and infrastructure. Just to give you an update, we've had 2 meetings of the main committee, and we have several subcommittees. Chip Bilger is chairing our sewer and water subcommittee. The sewer and water, we actually had a meeting this morning with the Sewer and Water Association, and Chip Bilger's head of that, and I was able to share with the Sewer and Water Association where we are in the planning. The very simple strategy here is we hope to coordinate funding opportunities, not just with the county, but with the municipalities and the authorities, to be able to provide the most effective solutions to our community. We don't have any authority to tell municipalities what to do, or really any authority to tell local sewer and or water authorities what to do. This is an effort that we're looking to them to tell us, here's the best way to proceed. Justin Luce, our Berks County Chief Information Officer, is overseeing the broadband initiative, and the broadband subcommittee has had several meetings already. Yesterday I was on a meeting with Justin and Comcast/Xfinity. They are interested in helping us address this issue as well. Paul Jansen from the Community for Excellence in Local Government through Albright is chairing our transportation group, looking at, generally speaking, things that might be eligible relative to roads, bridges, rail, public transportation, etc. And then finally, Ken Pick and Peter Battaglia from the Berks County Redevelopment Authority are overseeing the category called Special Projects. This is a category within the American Rescue Plan. They're looking for the opportunities that may have benefit to the county. I know they have already connected the Berks Arts Council to one of those programs, and that is underway. So the Berks Arts, and that's a separate tranche of money within the American Rescue Plan. So that's an update on generally on the county in the American Rescue Plan. We have received 50% of the $81.6 million allocated. The balance will come in approximately 1 year. Other members of my committee that are not chairing a particular subcommittee but are very important are Pam Shupp-Mennett, our Director of Berks County Economic Development, our Deputy CAO, Ron Seaman, our Chief Administrative Officer, David Hunter, who is the Director of our Berks County Planning Department, and Ashley Showers, who is the Deputy Director of our Berks County Planning Department. That is all that I have. Are there any comments from our row officers? Hearing none, Sandy Graffius is waving her hand, so we'll recognize Sandy Graffius.
I know I sound like a broken record, but we are way down in people that have not yet opened up their debit cards from the elections. Please call my office if you're having problems getting into your debit card money. We are going to now start giving debit cards out to the spouses of veterans that died because the county has a program that they get money toward their funeral bill. So we're going to be rolling out those folks getting debit cards also.
Yep. And that money comes from the state. It hasn't been increased in decades, long before us.
Forever.
And so before somebody thinks, wow, they're getting thousands of dollars, I think it's $75, Sandy?
That's correct. And I was at a legislative breakfast on Monday. And when I was there, I spoke to Mark Gillen because he sits on the Veteran Affairs Committee at Harrisburg. And I pitched him to get that raised because $75 is such an insult when you're looking at a funeral bill that it's just ridiculous. So he said that he's going to name the bill Sandy Graffius Wants More Money bill, which is fine. I'll take the credit.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Any other row officers with comments? Hearing none, I will now recognize Jesse Blauser to read public comments.
Dwight Wegman, Lower Heidelberg Township. Critical race theory is a destructive and divisive ideology that many on the left are trying to implement into school curriculums and government and business policies and procedures. Critical race theory teaches that we are defined first and foremost by the color of our skin and gender and not by our values, choices, or behavior. It divides people into groups and defines these groups as victims and perpetrators and purposely pits one group against another. This destructive ideology must not be allowed to infect our institutions. My question for the commissioners is whether there are any elements of critical race theory in Berks County government training materials or policies and procedures. John Archer, Spring Township. Subject, the Karcher Creek Park issue. Commissioners, as you know, a number of our county residents and political activists have been laser focused on making the Karcher Creek Park a county issue. All of the demands and inquiries being made accuse our county officials of not taking enough initiative to resolve the overall toxicity issue and to actually take full ownership of the property in question. My question is this: why does the problem have to be limited to having its potential contamination, determination, and remediation have only one solution? If this area is important and vital, why are other solutions such as the local township not being asked the same questions that are posed to the county officials? I would think that on a list of priorities that the township itself has a larger stake in the resolution than does the county. Additionally, there is much more involved in the assessment of contamination sites than just hiring a number of university students and staff to run out and perform toxicity measurements in order to provide the necessary confidence levels to assure the public that all of the types of risk have been thoroughly addressed. How many times has Berks County seen this movie played out in the past where sites were proclaimed safe only to have them challenged in later years? Fred Centigraph Sr., Berkshire Heights. Greetings, Commissioners. A free and fair November 3rd, 2020 election would have continued and improved upon President Donald Trump's accomplishments, some of which follow. Massive deregulation. Americans now have more money in their pockets. Once fully in effect, 20 major deregulatory actions undertaken by the Trump administration are expected to save American consumers and businesses over $221 billion per year. Signed 16 pieces of deregulatory legislation that will result in $40 billion increase in annual real incomes. The current administration policies will have a negative impact on these positive accomplishments to the detriment of our prosperity. Thank you and Godspeed. George Holmes, Hamburg. When will the mask policy change at county offices? J. James Burnville. Commissioners, unfortunately, the toxic culture of social media has increasingly crept into government public sphere. For my part, I apologize if I have seemed to contribute to it, but when faced with unchallenged misinformation and propaganda, I feel obligated to call it out. We as a nation are the cradle of modern representative democracy, and it can't be allowed to be hijacked and manipulated by lies and misdirection. We as a nation are better than this, and it starts with us as citizens being informed and open to legitimate discussions and differing points of view with empathy and respect for our fellow citizens. Thank you. And that was the last comment.
Thank you very much, Jesse Blauser. Appreciate that. I'm going to address a couple of these. On the critical race theory, we have not done any type of update, Commissioner Barnhart, since we've been here that would have implemented anything into our program like that. And I want to remind everyone, a quote comes to mind, and I do not support this concept of critical race theory. But here's the quote that comes to mind, and it is, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." That ought to be the objective. And that's where my focus continues to be as a county commissioner. And that is the message of the declaration, that all people are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. All people, period. Doesn't matter what race, ethnicity, religion, background, it doesn't matter. So no, it is not part of our policy, human resources policy, etc. On the question of mask policy, all mitigations, pre-pandemic mitigations, have been removed in the county except the masking policy, and that will be eliminated effective Monday, January the 28th. So that's where the county is overall. And
actually, it's June, Commissioner Leinbach. It's June, not January.
June. It was a J, okay? I had one letter right, maybe two, an N and a J. Good point. June 28th is when the masking policy ends here in Berks County. And then John Archer on the Karcher Creek, you make some very good points. The risk is the issue, the liability is the issue, and you are correct. We've done all that we can do. It is within the confines of Windsor Township and is almost adjacent, if not, it may even touch on borough property for Hamburg Borough. But that's, as you note, it's been a continuing issue. That's all that I have. Commissioner Barnhart, anything on your end?
I do not. Thank you.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn.
The meeting stands adjourned.